Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Milwaukee Beer Review. As always, I'm Josh.
I'm Ross.
And we've got some more beer from another brewery that we've reviewed some beers for in the past in Mobcraft. So if any of you saw our recent video on the massive beer haul that we picked up, these two Mobcraft beers are actually part of that beer haul, and so we wanted to take some time and pop these things open and give you guys our thoughts on what we're seeing here. So kind of interesting, similar beer styles, but also a bit unique just because that's the way that Mobcraft beers are.
It's pretty cool because we've done Mobcraft before. We did the Polish Shaw series, and these are two, we mentioned this kind of in that previous video, that they do the crowdsourced beer, and they have winners of crowdsourced beer. So these are actually two crowdsourced winners back from 2017. So these have been aged for just over 3 years at this point. So the first one we're going to do is called Dudeism. So Dudeism is a White Russian-inspired stout, which is really cool. And Dudeism, obviously, if anyone's seen Big Lebowski, that's where it comes from. That's kind of where the inspiration on this one. So this one won back in October 2017. It was
crowdsourcing, right?
Crowdsourcing, yeah. They won the crowdsourcing back in October 2017. They first bottled and started selling it back in December of 2017. So it took a couple months to get it going. It's a 9% ABV, so it's not high end in any way, shape, or form. It's not a it's not a barrel-aged beer or anything, but it has white chocolate, it has lactose, cacao nibs, vanilla, and coffee. So it's got a really interesting kind of taste. It's a lot of things going on there. It should be interesting. If it tastes anything like a White Russian, I'm excited. So.
I mean, we're 3.5 years into this thing being around, so it'll be interesting to see how this thing has aged out over the last several years too. So let's get this thing in the glass.
All right, so let's get this open, see what it looks like.
White chocolate stout.
So much more blonde and much more amber color than I think we were both expecting, or than I was expecting. As we kind of talked about a little bit off camera, Josh was expecting much more of a white stout. I didn't realize that, but very amber color, not a lot of carbonation. Really interesting for a stout to come out this color.
Yeah, I've had white chocolate stouts before. This is kind of in line with what I was expecting. So interesting for the stout style.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, get a little nose on this white chocolate stout, or White Russian inspired stout.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Honestly, I'm smelling spice.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of spice.
I'm not getting chocolate. I'm actually barely getting sweetness on this.
And to think about this, again, this has been aged for 3.5 years, and I don't know if this is a beer that was meant to be aged. It normally says in their bottles, so I don't see anything. We'll have to look at that, but...
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'm getting a little bit of a musty note on the nose. But the white chocolate stouts that I've had historically... you get a lot more on the palate than you get on the nose with these, because it's not your traditional stout. Mm-hmm. I'll be curious to see what this tastes like.
Yeah.
All right.
Cheers.
Give it a go. Cheers, buddy. Interesting.
So all that spice I was getting in the nose, I'm not getting in the taste. It's
not
very
at all.
smooth, but I'll be honest, I'm not getting a lot of taste to it.
I'm not even... I think front end of the beer, I do get some sweetness on the front end of the beer. That's definitely there. I think that's kind of that white chocolate sweetness component to a beer like this. It doesn't stick around long, though. I mean, It kind of dissipates out, almost not dissimilar from like a traditional amber ale. Like... You're not, I mean, it doesn't give me the white chocolate stout notes that I would get from a normal white chocolate stout.
I'm just not getting a lot. I'm really not getting much of a taste at all. I mean, you get that spicy taste on the nose, and you drink it. It's smooth. I just don't get much of those. You know, I'm looking at this, I see white chocolate, lactose, cacao, and I get none of those tastes. Maybe, I think that spice might be the coffee that I'm smelling, but I don't taste the
little
coffee.
Bitterness from that. I don't know. You definitely don't get... I do get some vanilla. I get some sweetness. I'm not getting really coffee unless the bitterness in this is the coffee, but keep in mind, this is aged out for 3 years. There's no alcohol in this as far as like adjuncts. It hasn't been barrel aged.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
I don't think this is a beer that's meant to be aged.
Agreed.
I don't think, and that... So, I mean, when I'm looking at this, if I have to grade it as is, it's a little unfair to give us a grade, but we have to because that's what we're doing. I'll give it, 2.5. I don't get anything out of this. There's nothing exciting out of this. It's just... It falls flat after 3.5 years. There's nothing there.
I'm going to give it 2.25. I mean, it's plain Jane. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, if someone handed me this and was like, hey, here's a 9% beer, drink it by the campfire or something, I'd be like, sure, sounds good.
Yeah.
But there's nothing about this to write home about at this point. I would be super curious to see what this was like fresh.
Yeah, exactly.
So, again, like you said, I don't think 3 years in the bottle, 3.5 years in the bottle does this justice, but
no.
It is what it is at this point.
Yeah. You mentioned campfire.
Yeah.
So,
a little bit of campfire coming up.
So what do we got next?
All right. So coming up next, we've got the Bonfire Summer Stout. So this is actually a milk stout that was aged in whiskey barrels. So oddly, in comparison to the White Russian Stout, this is actually a little bit lower on the ABV scale, at least based on what we could find. So 8% ABV. This one won the crowdsourcing. Voting back in August of 2017 and was bottled in June of 2018. So took a while to get this one ready to go. Obviously, the aging on this, aging it in those whiskey barrels, is probably part of the time differential there. So something to keep in mind. This is brewed with cacao nibs, lactose, vanilla, and graham crackers. So think about this as something that maybe you would drink by that campfire. Summertime, sitting around the campfire. Think about it like a s'more, right? So I'm kind of looking for some of those marshmallow sweetness notes and graham cracker notes to this. Again, aged 3-ish years, 2 to 3 years here in the bottle now at this point. So let's get this thing in the glass and see what we got.
Yep. Let's get this one open. I do feel this is going to be much more of a traditional looking stout, but we'll see how it looks when we get it in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. It's a nice dark color. A little bit of head. Just see here the carbonation on that one, actually. Mm-hmm. Sounds like a soda when you're pouring it, but it looks like much more what you're expecting with a stout, unlike the last one we had. Decent head, just spits pretty quick. Not that tan cutting as some of the barrel-aged ones, but no, it looks good.
And this one, is officially Cellar Certified.
Oh, yes.
So let's give it a go. Alrighty. All right. Let's get a little nose on the Bonfire Summer Stout here. Getting a lot more traditional Imperial Stout notes on this one.
Sweet. I'm getting a lot of sweet, just kind of a sweetness taste of snows.
Sweetness? Snows?
I don't know.
There's no snow in this. It's a summer. It's a summer stout.
Well, you snows.
So I'm getting some bourbon. I'm getting the whiskey definitely on the nose of this.
And that's definitely one thing. We've had a lot of barrel-aged beers over the time and throughout the course, and not a ton of just straight whiskey-aged beers at this point. So that's interesting. We've had a couple graham or s'more inspired beers and everything. So I'm very curious how one with whiskey is going to taste.
Especially 3 years in the bottle.
Yeah.
I'm curious where all these flavor profiles land. Let's give this thing a go.
All right. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
I need another sip there.
I almost get like a... I'm getting kind of like the oaky, like...
You're tasting the barrel.
Definitely the barrel.
Yeah.
At this point, you're tasting the barrel.
Honestly, like, this is one of the few beers I think we've had so far throughout all of our videos where you get a lot of flavor up front and it tastes really good, and then the back end actually it isn't great on the back end. And I'm losing a lot in the back end, and that's, I think, where I'm getting that wood barrel oaky taste in the back end, which isn't complementing it all that well.
What's interesting is that I'm looking for sweetness from the lactose from the milk stout, and I'm not getting it at all. Like even on the front end, like I'm getting whiskey on the front end, and then I almost get I get the charred oak through the back end, and the charred oak like overpowers every other flavor that could be left in this beer after cellaring it.
Yeah, and this is one of those beers where, as much as I would like to see how the Dudeism would have fared fresh and everything, this beer I think would have been really good fresh. Like this beer I think would have been very, very, very tasty, very, very good fresh. Okay, maybe it was cellar, maybe it was cellarable for a year, but once you get something in 2.5, 3 years, things can change.
Big time. I mean, I have no idea what this tasted like. Fresh out of the bottle when this was put into the bottle. But not that dissimilar to the White Russian Stout. I don't think there's much left to this after 3 years in the bottle. It's whiskey, it's charred oak barrel notes that are on this beer, but outside of that, there's not much else to it. I'm definitely not getting the vanilla characters. I'm not getting graham cracker. I'm not getting the s'mores component that I would expect from this. Yeah. And even though this is Cellar Certified, I would probably go against that recommendation if they do brew this beer again.
Too late now.
It's too late now.
If you have it, it's cellared.
If you have it and it's cellared, good luck. Yeah. No, it's not bad. I mean, to be honest, it's not a bad beer, but it's definitely not what it's supposed to be.
So where do you have this one on your, if you had to score it?
Honestly, a whiskey barrel aged at 8%. With none of the notes that I'm expecting when I'm reading the label, I'm putting it at a 2. I'm putting it at a 2. It's not good. I mean, it's not good cellared. Again, it's not an undrinkable beer. This is not something you flush down the sink. I mean, it's a drinkable beer, but it's not anything like what is being described.
No, I don't disagree. I'm gonna put it right about 2.5. And it's unfortunate because I do think these are beers. The scores weren't great with these two, but I do think these are two beers that would have been very, very good, much more fresh. Unfortunately, being cellar, being aged, and when you get a beer hall the way we did, you're going to have some beers that are just duds, and that maybe shouldn't have been cellar and everything, and that's just the way I kind of feel about these two. It's not a knock on Mobcraft in any way, shape, or form. No. It's just certain beers shouldn't be cellared, and these are two beers I don't think should have been cellared. So like I said, I got this one 2.5, and that might be being a little generous if I'm being honest.
Yeah. So fair enough. All right. Well, good stuff. We're gonna have a ton more coming from this beer haul. I mean, there's beer for days in my cellar right now for what we're gonna be looking at and what we're gonna be reviewing. A lot of stuff from Wisconsin breweries, a lot of beers outside of the Wisconsin area too. So. A lot more to come from that perspective. If you like what you're seeing, if you have thoughts on these, or if you have any of these in your cellar, would love to hear your thoughts on our channel. Throw it in the comments here on YouTube. Check us out on the rest of our social media. You can see us on Untappd, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Find us all there. We've got those different social media platforms rocking. Would love to see you participating out there. Shoot us a comment on any of those social media platforms. Outside of that, like, comment, subscribe, click the bell icon. You'll see some notifications. We're posting videos every single week as we move forward. So would love to get some more some more interaction from the community. Would love to hear what you think. Would love your thoughts on what you'd like to see from this channel as we move forward, as always. So other than that, we'll catch you on the flip side. Thanks for checking us out, and we'll see you soon.
Have a good one, guys. I was a drunk pour.
It's a drunk pour.
I was like,
oh, shit, I don't know how to hold the bottle anymore.